All right, welcome back to another edition of the Founders Table. Pull up a chair and sit with two founders, man, who have been through the ringer in our probably 50 years combined of being founders. My name is Nick Long. This is Anthony Bascilio to my right. It's been some time since we've been together.
It's been like 3 weeks.
Yeah, you've been slacking.
A lot of travel stuff going on, business travel. I ran into you in Utah.
Yep, that was fun.
He happened to be in Utah when I was there. We met up, and it was a friend of ours' birthday. What a dinner.
What a dinner.
That was Chef Dave's. So we have an advisor, one of Nick's friends, an advisor to us. He coaches us, the CEO coaching, and it was his birthday. He invited us to.
Wait, hold on. Let me get this guy. I mean, excuse my friend. He's a little slow. Normally, he's a really good storyteller. This one is not really getting out of the gates here. So let me give him some context. This guy that he's talking about, who's an advisor, is a bona fide badass. He's done over $3 billion in exits. He's like the startup king. He literally took a company with no revenue and sold it for $50 million.
I don't even know how he pulled that one off. It was actually an Instagram before Instagram came out.
Right. So this guy. I mean, he's been part of big private equity, massive exits. He's just a really cool guy, and he's actually like a very enlightened guy. So he had a birthday party at his chalet in Park City, Utah. And I mean, there was like former heads of state, Olympic athletes.
Trump's former national defense director.
There was a Special Olympics athlete.
Olympic swimmer from Australia.
And you didn't get that. And it was
I missed it.
It was an amazing event. Amazing event.
Yeah, awesome event. And then when we go there, he usually has a private chef come cook us a dinner. Chef Dave, guys. Guy does this a lot for a lot of big dogs out in Utah and Park City's. A lot of VC and private equity guys. So he did a dinner for 12 of us, and man, I haven't eaten like that volume.
Yeah, you were a pig that day.
Yeah, I couldn't stop, dude.
Yeah.
I couldn't stop. Everything, every appetizer.
I mean, like this was like a spread. Like we got there was like meats, like a charcuterie board, but all meats.
Like 15 different kinds of like sausages and salamis and soprasadas, prosciutto.
And then we started off with like salmon 3 different ways.
Ways.
Sashimi.
Scallops. The soup.
Oh.
Whatever that soup was. Salad.
And then I thought the I don't know why people do cheese for fucking dessert. Naveen, it was a wonderful party. Thank you so much for it. But like cheese for dessert, I don't know where this ever happened that people think cheese is dessert. To me, cheese should come and
it was tremendous.
It was tremendous.
I had like 6 glasses of wine in me, and I was hammered. So
you ate a whole block of blue cheese.
I could not stop eating the cheese, the spreads,
you were like a New York subway rat.
I felt terrible the next day. I felt horrible.
Yeah, you looked horrible.
Yeah, I didn't weigh in too much more though. I was surprised. No. God. I held it somehow.
Well, probably you were plugged up. I mean, all that lactose.
So then I went to Jersey right after that for the week to the Jersey office, spend time with the guys there, and then that Friday I was leaving to come back. So I was at the airport checking in with my wife. And whenever I'm away, something fucking happens that doesn't happen when I'm there.
Like you're talking like with the kids?
Just always something, So I called her that Friday. I'm at the airport. She's like, oh, it's been a day over here. I'm like, all right, tell me, what happened? She's like, well, I woke up this morning and I heard this cat outside crying. I go, was it a black cat with white feet? She goes, yeah. I'm like, I seen that cat in our backyard twice in the past 3 weeks, and I heard him crying. It looks like a stray cat. I said, I went outside at like 6 in the morning. I'm up before everybody else, and then he jumped the fence. I go, it's that cat. She's like, yeah, he's a stray cat. I think he's lost. I don't know if he's a stray cat or someone owns him, but he looks like he hasn't eaten in weeks. He's skinny. She's like, I got to do something. So she takes a picture of the cat, posts it on Nextdoor, and the cat was in our backyard. She goes and gives the cat food.
That's the mistake right there. So I know where this is going. That's a mistake.
My dog and my cat inside are going nuts. My dog's barking like crazy seeing this intruder cat out in the backyard. And she posts on Nextdoor, is this somebody's cat? Whatever. So someone on Nextdoor reaches out. It was like an animal person, She's like, oh, you gotta protect that cat. You gotta somehow get it, bring it inside, feed it, and then I'll find you a shelter to bring it to where they don't shoot them or where they don't euthanize them, whatever.
Pet people are nuts.
So my wife's like, okay, and she's like doing whatever, So the cat jumps in the neighbor's backyard. My wife goes into the neighbor's backyard.
Now your wife's astray in somebody else's backyard?
My wife goes in the backyard with like a blanket, right?
Yeah.
She throws the blanket over the cat, kidnaps the fucking cat, brings it into our garage, gets the old dog kennel, puts the cat in the kennel with food and water, and the cat's now in our garage.
No.
And my wife's like, I'm like, so what are you going to do? So I'm going to bring it to the shelter around 1 o'clock and go drop it off. You know, that thing, the skinny, it's I feel bad. She's crying. So I'm like, okay. So I'm like, all right, whatever. So I get in the plane. And then something happened where her dad called and he had to go to the doctor. He didn't feel good. So she didn't get a chance to bring the cat to the shelter. So she picks me up from the airport, 4 o'clock, come home. I go, where's the cat? She's like, the cat's in the garage. So I go in the garage. The cat's hiding behind one of the boxes, scared shit. What are we? She's like, I'm going to leave him in here for the night. And then tomorrow we'll go to the shelter in the morning and drop him off. I go, okay. So
Just
cat's
like running loose in your garage.
small garage, closed. Yeah, just running loose in the garage. So we go to dinner. I'm like, let's go grab some sushi. We go get sushi in Laguna. I'm like, hey, did you talk to Andrew next door, our neighbor? Just I don't know, who knows? Maybe he has a cat. She's like, no, I didn't. She's like, I posted on next door. I'm like, yeah, man, who knows? He might not be on next door, but I'm sure if his cat was lost, he would have knocked on our door and said, hey, have you seen my cat? Because the cat looks like he's been outside for a week. You know, skinny. I'm like, well, when I get home, I'll just knock on his door. So I get home 8 o'clock, right? Knock on his door. I'm like, hey, Andrew, what's up? I'm like, hey, what's up? I'm like, oh, do you have a cat? He goes, yeah. I go, is it a black cat with white feet? He goes, yeah, Figs. I go, Figs, that's his name? Yeah. I go, that's your cat? He goes, yeah. I go, he's in my garage. He goes, oh, that's where he is. We haven't found him. I go, yeah, but he looked like he hasn't eaten. He's like, oh, he's got a thyroid problem. That's why he's so skinny. He goes,
So he wasn't even missing.
no. I go,
You kidnapped the neighbor's cat.
I go, I've heard him in the backyard crying. It's like, oh, he's a wild man. He just leaves the house, goes out on his own, comes back. He's always all over the place. We haven't seen him in a couple of days. We were wondering where he was.
And you guys
I
kidnapped
go,
again.
bro, we were just ready to drop him off at the shelter yesterday to get rid of him. He goes, no, that's Figs. I'm like, what? Open the garage. Figs comes out. They bring him home. I go, dude, is that? I'm like,
Figs, the stray cat
He
with
looks-
a thyroid problem.
he's 20 years old, the cat.
Get the fuck
He's
out
got
of
a
here.
thyroid problem, so he eats all the time, but he's just skinny because of the thyroid issue. I'm like, oh my God. Meanwhile, the guy has cameras around his house, so if he goes and looks at the cameras, he'll see my wife sneaking in the backyard with a blanket.
Oh, she went in his backyard.
In his backyard.
She went in his own backyard.
It looks like a straight up kidnapping fucking, you know.
So your wife jumped the fence into the cat's own backyard,
Kidnapped
the cat.
with a blanket, like a robber. Yeah, like a fucking bank robber. Fucking stole him, put him in our thing. He was in my garage.
Figs, the thyroid cat.
And Figs was in my garage for a day and a half. Kidnapped.
And this guy's looking for him.
And the guy, they were like, yeah, we were wondering where he was.
I think they were probably like, he lived a good life.
Yeah, well, they said
You
he was a
know.
rescue, and they found him in the water in South Carolina.
Oh my God.
Like he was in the
Fucking
water.
Figs, dude. This guy's been around.
He's been around. He's a survivor.
Yeah.
He's a survivor.
Figs is like a founder. He's gritty. You know?
Dude, how great is that? I'm like,
God.
only you.
Well, you know what the moral of the story is, right?
What's the moral of the story?
Don't feed stray pussy.
Yeah. That's an Instagram card right there. That's fucking great. All right, there's my story for today.
So welcome to the Figs Founder Table, where we talk about scrappy cats and kidnapping neighbors' pets. All right, so you know the routine. We're gonna pull your card. As a entrepreneur, you always feel like your card is about to be pulled at any moment. But at the Founders Table, we literally pull the card and we go off the cuff and talk about our experience to the related topic. So today's topic is red flags as a CEO. Red flags as a CEO. Now, let's get some clarity here. Is this like the red flags I see about you being the CEO, or is this red flags that
I would interpret that as like a red flag of a CEO who's not performing as he should be.
Okay. And,
Right.
or is it the red flags that we see as a CEO?
Or that, either or,
Let's
I
do
guess.
both.
We'll do both. Okay.
Let's do both. So I would say red flags as a CEO for me, and I work with a lot of CEOs. I coach a lot of CEOs, and we primarily coach towards an exit. I would say my first red flag as a CEO is when I ask a CEO what their job is, and then they give you some like flowery, like return on shareholder equity, or some like flowery, speech. Like most CEOs don't even really know what their job as a CEO is. And so when you ask them and they talk about, I got to do everything. Okay, well, you're a terrible CEO then, right? Because if you have to do everything as a CEO, how are you ever going to build a company that scales? How are you ever going to have something that grows beyond you? The greatest testament to you or me or any of you guys watching as a CEO is to build yourself out of a job, to have a company that runs like without you, because that means you've like instilled your DNA and your doctrine into these people, and they've now latched on to your vision and they're running it independently as you. So my first red flag as a CEO is when a CEO doesn't know what their job is.
Yeah, I think that's a good question, and it's also different based on how the business operates, right? Like, so, you know, for me, the way I operate, I'm sure all CEOs operate differently. We have a controller to do the finances, and sometimes if you're a CEO and don't have a controller, you have to be involved with the finances. And I have Kevin as my operations guy. He runs all systems and operations, and we balance each other out. Kevin is not the most personable person.
Kevin is about as smooth as the most gritty sandpaper. When it comes to
for me, I'm involved in major decision making. People bring ideas, and then it comes to decision making. Kevin and I usually collaborate on those decisions together. I'm definitely culture and lead from the front. I'm very personable. I try to connect with the people here, especially the leadership team, and actually show them that I actually care. Ask them. We just did a one-on-one meeting we do once a month with our product manager, and I made sure to ask him, how his daughter's doing, and how their fishing trips they do on the weekend together, because he's so proud about how he's been teaching his daughter how to fish, and I could see the smiles on their faces.
Yeah, people like
that. I actually fucking care, and I listen when they tell me these things, because I know how much those things mean to them. So, I try to really get on a personal level and always ask about how they're doing, how their family's doing when it comes to personal relationships on the leadership team here. That's how I operate. I'm big on leadership. I'm big as do as I do, not do as I say.
Right.
I try to be here on time, early, every day, lead with discipline, lead with how I live my life, and teach them how they should be living their life when it comes to health and discipline and wanting things and goals and motivation and self-motivating yourself. But really, we try to empower people to make decisions, but I think we've made some mistakes in the past where we allowed a little bit too much decision making without running it by us. And now, any decision that impacts the company has to be run through me and Kevin collaboratively before it passes through. It's one thing that I do. And then business development is probably my biggest thing.
Right.
I'm a people person. I'm always collaborating with other leaders. I meet people. We do calls. We see if there's synergy. My biggest thing for me is definitely business development. And that's really in my wheelhouse.
Well, so all the things that you just talked about, what do you like? I don't even know if you realized the common thread. Like, what do you think the common thread to all the things that you just mentioned was?
People.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. And that's in my opinion the real job of the
people vision.
Exactly. So I call it C4, and I call it the CEO C4. And you know me, I love alliteration.
Acronyms.
I love acronyms. I love all that kind of stuff because I think it's a good way to learn things. But C4, if you think about C4, right? Like what is C4 like in the military sense?
Boom.
Yeah, boom. Yeah. My friend here, Mongo, boom.
Boom.
What is C4? It's boom.
Or you C4 to pre-workout.
Yeah.
Feels like a boom.
Either way, it's a boom. But C4 in the military sense is a small plastic explosive device used to break down barriers, right? So our mission is on the other side of that wall. We put a little bit of C4. It does boom, and we go and we go through that barrier and we carry out our mission. Same is true for a CEO of a business. C4 is C 4 times. The first one is to create the vision. Like that's what you're talking about. Like you're an amazing visionary. I mean, you can walk out in your office and just see it all over the place, right? With the hoodies and the hats and the bells and the whistles and the people doing cartwheels, the TikToks that are nonstop. Your vision is great. And then the next thing that you have to do is communicate that vision. And you do that, your morning meetings, your huddles, like telling people where we're going, where we've been. It's how you've been able to take this from nothing to, 20 plus million. Then the hard part is curating a culture like of that believes in that vision. And you obviously have done that. Like people are wearing your jerseys and people are, talking about, like if I walk out and I talk to your employees, what they sound like? They sound like you. right? Which is a testament to you as the CEO. And the last thing that you have to do, and this is the hard part for guys like you and I, clear accountability. Because we want, like, fuck, man, we love people so much, you know, but most people don't love themselves. Most people aren't disciplined. And so, like, we have to hold them fiercely accountable, like, to that vision.
The difficult part about that, too, is the emotional part of it, right? Because it's like, you know, and we made this mistake this year where we hung on to a bunch of people who were underperforming, but who have been here for a while and been quote unquote loyal.
Yes.
And then like, oh, he's going to turn it around. He's been here a long time. Let's keep working with him. And then all of a sudden we look back and we got like 15 guys underperforming, losing us money, where we had to clean house a couple of months ago. And
100%.
And we had to clip like 14, 15 sales reps who had been here for a long time because they got comfortable, weren't holding themselves accountable. And but you know what? It falls on us.
It does.
For
that's that clear accountability, right?
Yeah.
So like if you look at vision, like countries were built, countries were burned, you know, religions were built because of vision. But like the vision doesn't just start with the CEO. It has to distill down into the organization.
Yeah.
And then the last part of that is that accountability. And people think like, oh my God, you know, you guys are going out of business because you laid off 10 people. It's like, nah, like we laid off the gas, we laid off that accountability piece, and we have to right size this, or else like our vision will perish.
And it's so weird, and I always bring this up with people with business, right? Because you got people that have been here for like 3 years that you'll see every single day, spend more time with them than your family, and then you get rid of them, and then you never see them again in your life.
Right.
Meanwhile, you spent 3 years with somebody every single day working towards something, then they're just poof and gone. And I struggle with the emotional attachment when it comes to that, because I genuinely like people, and I always put I put stock into like, hey, you've been here for 3 years. You helped us get this far. I'm going to give you a little more leeway, man. Come on, I know you could do this.
Right.
And then all of a sudden I go 6 weeks later, and they've literally cost me $1,000 a week for 6 weeks, whatever, because they're underperforming on the sales end of it.
Most people can't get out of their own way. You know? And that's why, like, I mean, I truly believe that no matter your circumstance, no matter where you're from, you can change your outcome, and by way of that you can change your income, but most people will let their circumstances define them instead of for allowing it to refine them. And I mean, how many rags to riches stories do we need to hear before we believe it's possible for us? But these people, to your point, is you spend 3 years with them and they're good, and then something happens in their life and then they derail. And then they just can't get back on track.
Never get back on track.
It's the saddest thing. It's the saddest thing. And then we think, okay, well, come on. But like, that's what I'm saying. It's like for all you CEOs out there, create that vision in your mind, in your heart. Like you have to see it, you have to believe it, you have to like understand that it's real. And then the second thing is communicate it. And here's the one thing that CEOs miss, and what I truly respect about you amongst everything is that like you have to live it.
You got to live it. Yeah.
Like you can't just sit from the pulpit and preach it.
No.
Like you got to live it. And so the first person you got to communicate it with is yourself.
Yep.
And then you communicate it to your team. You communicate it to your clients. You communicate it on social media. You just edify the fuck out of your vision. And then that kind of breeds, and it'll bring in your tribe, this crazy clan that actually believes in this vision.
You got to lead from the front.
And then the last thing is accountability. And that starts with you as the CEO all the way down to, to the last person through the door, And, and Kevin says this all the time too. It's like, look, if I impact 10% of the people and they all become more accountable and happier, then, and I did my job. And it's tough, man. It's tough. I mean, I've literally shown people the way and they still don't fucking do it. Well, it comes down to this too.
Starting the day with gratitude. I always tell them, look, you can't be grateful and mad at the same time.
Yep.
It's impossible.
Yep.
You start your day with a little gratitude. Do something in the morning to better yourself, whether it's prayer or meditation or a workout. Drink a big thing of water, hydrate yourself, get ready for the day. Do your affirmations, Do you love yourself? Talk yourself up on your way to the office. Like I do. Listen to something good on the way to work. Get your mindset ready for the day. Then we even have an accountability channel in Slack. Every day, just post in there one thing that you did to better yourself today. And then I'll bring it up, and there'll be 10 people posting, and then 6, and then 5, and then next thing you know, it's just me and 2 other people. It's amazing, dude.
Well, and it just goes to show you the 1% are willing to do what the 99 won't. I think for a lot of CEOs, they sit down, and because they have the title, they're entitled, right? Because they have the title, they become entitled, and they think it's this dictatorship. And there's a difference between dictatorship and delegation, elimination, but you have to nobody will respect you as a leader if you're not leading yourself.
I don't like CEOs who just hide behind the door and don't even know who's working for them and are not personable and aren't out there. That's not, to me, that's the opposite of how you should be.
My job, if you look at the CEOs, name a CEO that you like a famous CEO that you like and respect.
I was going to say Dana White, but he's not the CEO. But I guess he kind of is.
Yeah, he's kind of the president.
I love him.
Yeah, he's great.
He's my favorite.
Yeah, but name another one.
I don't fucking know. Another CEO. I don't know. Mark Cuban.
Mark Cuban. Okay. Mark Cuban, where does Mark Cuban sit as the owner of the Mavericks? Where does he sit at a game?
Right on the floor.
Right on the floor, right next to the team. Yeah. He's been fined and kicked out so many times, and that's because he cares and he's passionate. He's a man of the people. To all you founders out there that call yourself a CEO, and you're a party of 3, just start embodying these habits right now, because at some point, you're going to need to actually have a blueprint to guide and to lead people. And that starts with you leading and guiding yourself. And then also believing, a lot of people say oh, I'm a visionary. It's it's not just saying it.
Yeah.
It's embodying it. Because, man, if I know I'm speaking for you too, if I don't hold on to my vision, bro, I lose sight of what I want.
You got to eat, sleep, and breathe this shit nonstop, man.
Dude, last night, yesterday, I was here, we were supposed to do a podcast yesterday. How many different times? 3 times, and it was just call after call after call. My day yesterday is I woke up early, the kids had their first day of school. So we did all the stuff in the morning, took pictures, took them to school, met the teachers, took the pictures inside the class. And then I jammed straight here, and I was on call after call after call after call after call after call after call till 5 o'clock when I left. And then I was on a call at 5 o'clock. And then I was supposed to meet my wife. My kids were doing cotillion, which is a whole nother story. But then my wife's like, shit, you have football practice today. So I'm rerouted myself, went to the football field, don't even know the kids' names or anything, was dressed up, wasn't even prepared for football practice, did football practice, then had to go to my buddy's house and drop something off, and I had my son still hadn't ate, so then we went to dinner. My wife's like, where are you? I'm like, I'm feeding the damn kid. She's like, it's 8 o'clock, he needs to be in bed. Then I took him home, and I got home and I'm like, fuck am I doing?
It's time for bed.
Yeah. But guess what? But guess what I did?
What?
I went for a walk and talk with myself, and I just said, Nick, it's not always going to be like this. You're gonna remember this day. And I actually challenged myself. I said, remember this day. And then guess what I did? I said, all right, what can I do right now? Because I feel anxious. I feel like I'm out of control. I feel like this whole thing is not worth it.
You meditated.
And then I went to gratitude.
Yep, there you go.
And I sent out to 3 team members.
Ground yourself.
Yep, I sent out to 3 team members.
Send out a few gratitude texts.
Yep, and I
put out the good juju.
Exactly. And I sent it out, and I got this back. Hey, thanks for the love, Captain. Very grateful for you and getting on board this next 90 ship. Looking forward to seeing you and continuing to work with you. Now that guy, do you think he's going to show up better or worse?
Oh, better.
Of course. I didn't give him any raise. I gave him praise. Give the praise before the raise. And I promise you they will raise their standards. They will raise the output, and all of us will make, more income as a result. So to all you CEOs out there that don't know what your job is, that is a massive red flag. and you should be watching this episode over and over again. This guy's probably one of the best CEOs that I know and one of the most unknown CEOs, but thank God for their TikTok. And if you're not following them, make sure you do.
By the way, Mackenzie earned her first jersey. She got a TikTok video to go viral, 2 million views.
Oh, was that the
Yeah, give me my money.
Give me my money.
One of our employees was just like randomly at like a fucking deli. I know you. I saw you on TikTok. You did the give me my money thing. It was on. Yeah.
So by the way, we're getting off on a tangent, but Mackenzie's behind the camera. She's the one that sets up this beautiful studio and is doing the TikTok. It's APN Tech, right? At APN Tech. At APN Tech on TikTok and Instagram. You got to follow it. It's hilarious. I must have watched that reel.
They're giving me my money.
I watched it 7 times, dude, and every time it got funnier. Because the first time I watched it, I had no idea what the fuck it was, what it was doing. You know? I'm like, what is this? You know, and everybody's clapping, and I'm like, but then I was like, oh, and I was like, please tell me Anthony's in this. Please tell me Anthony's in this.
Of course, I'm the last one.
And then your response, you're like, hey.
What the fuck? That was a good one,
dude. Out of all the give me my monies, I don't know if I'm impartial, but that was by far the best.
We got like 5 people in a row.
Yeah, dude, it was so good. It was so good because you get like the families doing it and the mom's kind of cheesy, but like the way it built and like the group kept getting bigger and bigger, and the only person that didn't know. Oh, yeah. If you haven't seen it, go to APN Tech on Instagram and look at the give me my money. It was hilarious. So you're doing a tremendous job as a CEO. You know, my organization is not quite as big as yours yet.
Another great episode.
So tune in next week where we tell you how to get you your money.
Give me my money.
This is another episode of the Founders Table. Pull up a chair and we'll have a real conversation with real founders. I'm out.